Good evening, everybody. My name is Steve Knutson, and I'm with Fairfax County's Department of Transportation. I want to welcome you to this meeting tonight to discuss the traffic calming plan for Southrun Road. And we can start with introductions. And from Fairfax County DOT, we have Grace Vaughn and Nicole Machakwe. And from the Mount Vernon District Supervisor's Office, we have Diego Rodriguez Cabrera. Nicole has a short presentation to go through, and after the presentation, we'll open the meeting up to community questions and comments. And if any of the community's task force members are logged on to tonight's meeting, they can introduce themselves following the presentation. Diego, is there anything you would like to say before we start?
Hi there, good evening, everybody. My name is Diego Rodriguez Cabrera. I am Supervisor Storic's Transportation Liaison. Just thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. We know that this is a sort of community-initiated and run process, so it does mean a lot that everybody is here to voice whatever concerns or comments they have about this process. So just looking forward to tonight's meeting, and of course, if there are any questions after the meeting, you can feel free to reach out to myself or to the FC.dot team. So thank you, everyone.
Okay, Nicole, are you ready to go?
Certainly am.
All right, take it away.
All right. Well, welcome in, everybody. As Steve had mentioned, we are here to discuss the traffic calming process for Southrun Road. So I would like to note that this session is being recorded and may be shared on social media. Please hold all questions to the end of the presentation. And as Steve mentioned, instructions on how to ask your questions will be provided at the end of the presentation. So today we are here to explain the traffic calming process, provide an opportunity for community feedback, and answer any questions that you all might have. So let's begin with what is traffic calming. Traffic calming is the installation of physical devices to reduce vehicle speed. These devices can be either vertical or horizontal. So vertical devices are driven over, such as a speed hump, as you can see in the upper left-hand image, while you drive around horizontal devices, such as a raised median island, as you can see in the upper right-hand image. Both devices, types of devices, make the road safer for both pedestrians and drivers. We would also like to note that through this process, we are not permitted to install stop signs. Here we have charts and images showing the effects of decreased speed. As speed decreases, visual acuity, field of vision, and depth perception increase. Also, we see a reduction in stopping distance and a crash risk. Here we are showing a map of all traffic calming projects throughout Fairfax County. There are over 266 projects, resulting in more than 600 devices countywide that are installed. Every district has a device, and chances that you've driven over one are pretty high. And FC.dot and the district supervisor's office collaborate with the citizens and work on all of these community-initiated projects. The traffic calming program can be broken up into 5 steps. So step number 1 is project initiation. Step number 2 is plan development. Step number 3 is community engagement. Step number 4 is ballot phase. And the final step, step number 5, is project installation. So as I mentioned before, all traffic calming projects are always community initiated. The process begins with the request from the community to the supervisor's office. Once FC.dot receives that request, FC.dot will then conduct a basic eligibility review. And then we will conduct a traffic study. Once the road passes both eligibility review and traffic study, the community will then form a task force. For qualification, there are eligibility requirements that need to be met. The road must be VDOT maintained, have a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit, be functionally classified as local, collector, or arterial, and if it's a collector or arterial, it needs to be a residential street. Once passing basic eligibility requirements, we can move on to conduct a traffic study. For the volume criteria, we need between 500 to 6,000 vehicles in 24 hours, both directions combined. For Southrun Road, the volume was 4,852, showing the volume criteria was met. For speed criteria, the recorded 85th percentile speed needs to be greater than or equal to 35 miles per hour. So what this means is that 15% of vehicles need to be traveling 35 miles per hour or faster in at least one direction of travel. The 85th percentile in the eastbound lane was 37, and in the westbound lane was 42, which means that the Southrun Road met the speed criteria as well. So plan development is our second step. First, FCDOT will conduct a site visit in the field in order to develop a draft plan. Once that plan has been developed, FCDOT will meet with the task force to obtain feedback and amend the plan if necessary. Once the task force is satisfied with the draft plan, homeowners directly adjacent to any proposed measure will need to sign off of the placement of the device in order to move forward to the next step. There are device placement requirements for typical vertical devices. We need a minimum of 300 feet between measures and from existing stop conditions. We need a minimum of 150 feet from any intersection. We need a minimum of 150 feet for a continuous sight distance with any device, and it needs to be able to fit on the existing roadway. So we have to take into account of any driveways, manholes, and utilities. We also have to count for the grade of the road. So based on available options and site visit, FCDOT is able to propose 3 speed humps on Southrun Road. The addresses that are listed are the ones who signed off on the adjacent property forms because the device is directly adjacent to their homes. So here we have a speed hump schematic. The speed hump is 12 feet long and 3 inches high at center. There will be white chevrons in each travel lane and a speed hump signs with a recommended speed of 15 miles per hour on either side of the device. So moving on to step number 3, which is the step we're on today, community meeting. This is where FCDOT presents the plan for the community to obtain feedback. Based on that feedback, the task force will decide whether they want to amend the plan or proceed to the next phase. If the task force decides to move forward, we then can move to step 4, which is ballot phase. Each household in the ballot area will receive 1 vote, and they'll send it directly to the district supervisor's office. The ballot time period will be open for a minimum of 3 weeks, and the supervisor's office will tally the votes and notify the task force of the results. Here we have an example of a ballot. The proposed devices will be listed on the ballot, and the community will be voting on the entire plan. The task force is responsible for distributing the ballot packages to everyone in the ballot area. There are 3 ways that you can return your ballot by the deadline. So 1, you can mail in your ballot directly to the supervisor's office. You can hand deliver it directly to the supervisor's office, or you can email it directly to the supervisor's office. Ballots should not be returned to the task force, so please use one of the 3 methods to turn in your ballot. Here we show the ballot area map for Southrun Road. There are 139 ballots. In order for the proposed plan to move forward, we will need greater than 50% all households to vote in favor of the plan. So what this means is we will need 70 yes votes in order for the plan to move forward. So moving on, if we get the right number of yes votes, we can move to step 5, which is a project selection. The traffic calming plan will be presented to Fairfax County Board of Supervisors for endorsement, and the resolution will be sent to VDOT. Once endorsed and VDOT accepts the resolution, FCDOT will work with the Department of Public Works and Environmental Services to schedule installation. And finally, the traffic measures will be installed. So we can move on to the next steps. After tonight's meeting, the task force will need to follow the following steps. So one, the task force determines and notifies Fairfax County if they would like to move forward with the plan that was presented at this meeting. 2, task force and supervisor's office will need to decide and notify FCDOT if the ballots in the ballot area are to be distributed to the homeowners or occupants. 3, the task force will receive the ballot cover letter and will complete the form as directed by FCDOT. And 4, task force sends the completed ballot cover letter to FCDOT for approval. And once approved, they will receive the verified ballot package. And finally, the final step will be the task force will need to print and distribute all ballots to the homeowners in the ballot area. So this concludes the presentation for this evening. We can move on to questions and answer session. You have 2 options, chat or speak. Once the chat item is activated on Teams, you can use it by typing in your question. And if you want to speak, please click the raise hand icon. So that will so you will be unmuted. Once the host calls upon you and it's your turn, they will send you an unmute notification. So please click allow to be unmuted. And if you are on the phone, please push *5 to raise your hand. When it is your turn, the host will call on you to ask your question. You need to push *6 to unmute. And after you are finished, please push *5 to unraise your hand. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. I'm seeing a first hand from Amanda. Amanda, I'm going to send you a request to unmute your mic.
Fantastic. I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm the HOA rep on the task force. So we are excited to move forward. I just had one quick question, and this has been a very long process for us because we were a little pokey. But I thought one of the speed humps was actually a speed table. Would you call them the same thing, or are they different things?
They are different things. Let me double check. That could have been a mistake on our end. Let me double check real quick. Sorry about that.
Steve, I think you're muted.
Amanda, if we do have one incorrectly identified on the map, we'll modify it while we're going through this presentation.
Great. We did have the other HOA that we're adjacent to did refuse to sign off on one of the 4. We wanted 4 originally. So it could have been theirs, but I just can't remember. Wanted to make sure everyone's got the right message.
Okay, we'll check into that really quickly. All right, and do we want to go? Is that it, Amanda, or did you have anything else that you wanted to ask or say?
That's it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I see another hand from the person that's listed as Southrun Road. I'll go ahead and send you a request to unmute your mic.
Hi, this is Catherine Hetzel. Just made a mistake on the South Road on my name. So this is Catherine Hetzel. I'm also one of the HOA committee with Amanda. We're looking forward to this being completed. And if you have any questions, my email is on the package also.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I see another hand. I'm going to send you a request to unmute your mic.
Hi, yes, good evening. My name is Alexei Morgan, and I'm the resident on Albert Lane, which is adjacent to Southrun. Just a quick comment and then a follow-up question. Uh, my kid is always using the crosswalk across the Southrun next to the Silverdale, which is on not on the side where the daycare is, not where the stop sign is, but on the other side, on east side of the Silverdale. And based on the feedback that we're getting, either from the people who are visiting our community and driving through the intersection and personal observations, that crosswalk is not visible for several reasons to drivers that are passing by. And almost every morning when we're walking, crossing that street, the Southrun Road, the cars are not stopping, buses are not stopping, and not for the reason that they're just recklessly driving, but also for the reasons that that crosswalk is not visible, and especially during the sunset and sunrise times, that sign, crosswalk sign, is also not visible very clearly. So my question is, as part of this approach and process, has there been a consideration of changing the marking of that crosswalk to something more visible, or I don't know, somehow change the appearance of it?
That would be something that we would need to take up with VDOT. So they would be the responsible party for the striping of that crosswalk location. We could see Diego, possibly, if you want to reach out to them and see if they can change that over to, it's right now the parallel bars to the zebra stripe high visibility striping for that location. And maybe that will help. Let me make sure that we're talking about, so this is the Silverdale and Southrun intersection, and it's the Silverdale that is furthest away from Silverbrook Road, correct?
Yeah, it's the one where it intersects with Southrun
On the east side.
on the eastern end. Yeah.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah.
Diego, would that be possible if you want to reach out to them and see if they would take that under consideration? So
Yes, I'll definitely go ahead and reach out to VDOT regarding that issue. So thank you for bringing that to our attention today. And I'll go ahead and put my email into the chat, so you can feel free to send me an email after this meeting as well.
Okay, thank you. And if I could also ask another question, I see their proposal for 3 devices on this graphic, and going back to that same intersection, although this leftmost device may help ease the traffic across that intersection and maybe will be helpful for drivers to be more cautious stopping in front of pedestrians crossing the road, but drivers that are driving eastbound South Road before that intersection, since there will be no device, was there any consideration for placing another one, or are there any limitations that you guys are facing,
yeah, I think
which you cannot place a device in that area?
Yeah, I think Nicole had mentioned the fact that we need to be 150 feet away from the intersection, and then also 300 feet away from a stop sign. So we would definitely need to be that setback distance away from that intersection.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
And there really wasn't room to place another device between Silverbrook and then the next Silverdale and the next intersection. And I do believe that, Nicole, correct me if I'm wrong, you did look to see what we had signed off, and you said that the only adjacent property forms that we had sign off for were all speed humps. Is that correct?
That is correct. I'm going to do some digging just to be total accurate, but that is correct. All the signed adjacent property forms that we have are for speed humps. So maybe that we can do a little bit more digging and collaboration just to make sure that that is accurate.
All right, thanks. And I know that we were considering different locations and different device types, but the sign off that we do have is for those 3 speed humps.
Yes, we did bounce it back forth. And I know that the task force did try to get sign off from adjacent property owners and HOAs. And so I'm thinking it's one of the ones that we bounced back and forth from. So, but I will double, triple check just to make sure that we're on point.
All right, thank you.
Okay, the next question I saw was from Michael. Michael, I'm going to send you a request to unmute your mic.
Hi, thanks. This is Mike Ortuso. I live on Caddy Lane. I had a quick question. Should this be approved? What's the timeline we're looking at to get everything installed?
Normally because we still have to go through the ballot process and then take it to the board, and that can take a couple of months. And then after the board approval, we're probably looking at, an additional 4 to 6 months. So probably a minimum of 6 to 8 months from right now.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I believe the next hand was from, I think, Catherine. I'll send you a request to unmute your mic again.
Sorry. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Is there anything, we have pictures of an accident at that corner of Silverdale and Southrun, and it was approximately like a 25-mile-an-hour one. And then we also have pictures of one that was over 25 mile an hour. Is there anything that says that we cannot provide those pictures or show those pictures to the residents?
You mean for tonight?
No,
Would you like
no.
to-
When we the committee 2 years ago when we ran this,
Mhm.
I went door to door and got 50% of the houses, knocked on the doors, and had contact. And I hand delivered the ballots. The other ones were sent out through the HOA and everything else like this. So now that the committee we have together, we're willing to go and select a different blocks and make 100% contact with everybody. But we would like to, I would like to show them the difference between the 25-mile-an-hour crash and the over 25-mile-an-hour crash.
Yeah, that should be fun. The only thing that I want to bring up is if you are hand delivering them and you're trying to make contact with everybody, we need the ballots kind of released as evenly in a time frame as possible.
Correct.
So if you need to leave a ballot and not actually, leave it at somebody's door and not actually talk to them, can you please do that and then try to circle back and talk, then make contact after you leave them the ballot? Because we've had concerns from people where their neighbor got the ballot and they didn't. Do you know what I'm saying? So when you're distributing the ballots, if you can distribute them as consistently and evenly as possible, as, you know, regarding the time frame. That would
The
be very
last time,
helpful.
the last time the HOA sent out everybody the ballots, and it was the individual homeowner occupant to send it off. And so I went separately and printed them off, had the stamps on the envelope and everything, and, you know, just kind of handed it off, let them know, hey, this is what we're trying to do, and just handed it over, and they just made the decision to mail it themselves. So it
Right.
wasn't like, so if they had any questions, I answered their questions. And most of the 50%, 95% of them were very positive for it. And so we were just, now that we have more people other than myself going around, we could tackle this a little bit, you know, stronger.
Okay, all that is fine. That's perfect. All I'm saying is, you know, if you're working on a block and, you know, you are able to talk to one neighbor and then you go next door and they're not home, if you could please leave that at their door and then try to come back and make contact later on, that would be very helpful. Because people
Understood.
get a little touchy if they get it, you know, like a week after their neighbor got it.
Again, the HOA was going, I believe the HOA will send it out through the
Okay.
community, the website, but this was separate from that. I know that a lot of people don't read their emails or look at this. So that's, and I don't know if they sent it in the mail or not last time, but I personally had the paper, had the stamps and, you know, the mail, and did it dated. We're going to tackle it, I think. I think Amanda's going to assign different areas for each individual to tackle, and we'll just go back until we get 100% contact. So
Okay.
we'll try to make it to as even as possible.
Okay. All right. We just want to be sure that everybody gets their ballot in a timely fashion.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Okay,
And yes, you can show them that information while you're talking with them.
Yes. There's no drivers, there's no license plates on the cars. There's no individuals that can be recognized. It's just the accident itself and the area.
Okay. Yeah, that would be fine.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next question I saw was in chat from Jennifer asking about the light at the location. I believe this was when we were talking about the crosswalk, that it's dark, and was wondering if somebody could reach out to VDOT. And Diego liked that message, so I imagine he's going to address that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Go ahead,
And I'll-
Diego.
Yes, thank you. And yes, I have noted that comment, and I'll be reaching out to VDOT for that as well.
Okay, awesome.
I mean, I'm not, Diego, I'm not positive that VDOT is the responsible agency for overhead lighting. It might be DPW that you need to reach out to. Okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll research the proper entities to reach out to and reach out to them.
Okay.
Okay, another question from Catherine, can a standing sign be added to the middle of the crosswalk? I believe the crosswalk we were talking about earlier.
I'm sorry, what kind of sign?
There, the HOA by the pool has a stand-up little, is about 3 feet sign that says, you know, crosswalk, and says it's the law. And that was I mean, that's a reminder to a lot of people that the crosswalk is there, and because the kids go across the street from the pool when they have swimming meets and everything else like that.
Okay. And you're putting that up in the roadway?
They do put it out in the roadway. It's
Okay.
it's like it's a 3 foot. Okay, someone just sent the picture of it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Is that something that we would have to do as an HOA?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not positive how open VDOT is going to be to, placing a sign like that. You could reach out to them if you would like, but yeah, that would be VDOT that you would need to talk to.
If it's a privately owned and maintained road, you can. But like Steve said, yeah, you definitely need to. If it's not and it's maintained by VDOT, then it's definitely you need to reach out to VDOT about that.
I might just ask the other HOA how they are doing that, if they reached out to VDOT or not. So that, no problem. Thank you, though.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Another question in chat from Oleski. What is the process of determining the ballot area and why Albert Lane and Bertsky Lane residents are not within the ballot area?
So we just try to make the determination of who is using the subject road or the portion of the subject road that's being studied. And if a side loading road or a road that intersects with the subject road has another point of access or another route to the main transportation network, then we would most likely not include those roads. So we're just trying to make determination of what particular side loading streets are needing to use the portion of road that is being studied.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have right now. I think there's some typing. I'll go ahead and unmute you, Oleski.
Yes, thank you, Stephen. I just wanted to add to my question, and thank you for your response. So my understanding that, or at least visually, I'm getting that speed hump that is proposed on the westmost point of the Southrun may be addressed to calming traffic on the intersection of Southrun and Silverdale, and we are in the immediate access of that intersection. That's why I was confused if we should be, the residents of Albert Lane and Bertsky Lane should be included in that ballot area.
Okay. Well, I mean, we took a look at it and we figured that, the devices aren't precluding people from using the roadway. So we just want people that, are basically, needing to use it, of the study portion or the part of Southrun that we're trying to address in their daily commute. And if we do have other options for the side loading streets, then we generally try not to include those other streets, the side loading streets.
Yeah, like based on this graph that I'm seeing right now, it looks like this speed hump that is on the left is within closer proximity to Albert Lane and Bertsky Lane than, for example, the Ambrose Court.
Well, we can take it under consideration with the task force and the supervisor's office and see if they want to expand the ballot area, okay?
Yeah, if that could be brought up for discussion, that would be greatly appreciated, I guess. Thanks.
All right, thank you. And I think that Nicole had touched on earlier that after this meeting, the task force would want to reconvene and determine if they want to move forward to the ballot process. If they do, then they would just need to reach out to Diego at the supervisor's office and let him know. We would then go ahead and issue the ballot files for this process, and you would be able to put together the ballot packet and distribute. And Kathy, I think you're probably familiar with that process, so you probably have a pretty good understanding of what you need to do next. And then also, if there are further questions after this meeting, we have contact information here on the screen right now. So if you want to reach out to Fairfax County DOT, you can email dotinfo@fairfaxcounty.gov with Southrun traffic calming in the subject line, or call FCDOT at 703-877-5600 and ask to talk to somebody about the Southrun traffic calming project. Or you can also email Mount Vernon at fairfaxcounty.gov with the same subject line of Southrun traffic calming, or call 703-780-7518 and ask to talk to probably Diego, and he would be able to hopefully answer or direct your question to somebody that could. And if we're not seeing any more questions for tonight, we'll probably stay on for a few more minutes, but we will probably be winding this down about 7:15 if we don't get any more questions in the chat, or if nobody else raises their hand. All right, it doesn't look like anybody else is raising their hand or putting anything else into the chat. So I think we'll go ahead and sign off for the evening, and everybody have a good night. Thank you for attending.